So when Hashem tells Yaakov that his name will no longer be Yaakov, his name will be Israel, the Torah and the Talmud doesn't tell us that it's forbidden to use that name anymore. In fact, people like my middle name is Yaakov, you're allowed to use that name. However, when the Torah tells us that God told Avram, your name will no longer be Avram, your name will be Avraham, the Talmud tells us that it's now forbidden to use the name Avram. Anyone who uses the name Avram is violating a commandment of the Torah. You're not allowed to call your child Avram, only Avraham. Why is that? So the Talmud says because regarding Yaakov, the Torah uses that name again. The Torah doesn't stop using the name Yaakov. That's maftir. The Torah continues to use the name Yaakov even after Yaakov gets the name Yisrael. The Torah continues to use the name Yaakov, and therefore it's not forbidden for us to use that name because that's the name the Torah itself uses. Okay, so that doesn't really answer the question. That merely transfers the question from Avram to Yaakov. Why is it that the Torah does refer to Yaakov again as Yaakov, and the Torah doesn't refer to Avram anymore as Avram? How come once God said your name will no longer be Yaakov, does the Torah use that name again? So what the Torah actually says is, Rashi explains, the reason your name will no longer be Yaakov, the reason your name from now on will be Israel, is because the word Yaakov means to trick, and the word Yisrael means to dominate. So until this point, Hashem tells Yaakov, you got these blessings in a way of trickery, but from now on, these blessings are now openly yours. That's the difference between Yaakov and Yisrael. Yaakov is about trickery. Yisrael is about open dominance, not victory through cheating, but open and clear dominance, and therefore the blessings are now openly yours. That's the literal meaning of God's assignment, classification of Yaakov from now on as Israel. The blessings are now openly his. What are the blessings? The blessings are to have the blessings are to have all the good stuff, all physical blessings. So the blessings of God to Yaakov, to have all the physical blessings, are called, there are two different ways we receive these blessings. There's a way we receive them as a Yaakov, and there's a way we receive them as a Yisrael. Ordinarily, a Jew's involvement with the physical world is called cheating. It's called a lie. Why is it called a lie? Because every physical thing in the world has a godly spark in it. So a Jew's involvement in the physical is not for the sake of the physical. Rather, it's kind of like a spy. What does a spy do? A spy learns the language of a country. He learns the culture of a country. He learns the customs of the country. He pretends to make friends with everybody in this country. And the reason he's becoming all friendly and nice with everybody is only because he wants to get a secret out of this country and bring it back to where he comes from. So in a similar way, a Jew comes to this world from Gan Eden, from the heaven, and he gets involved in the physical world. But the whole point of our involvement in the physical world is not to be part of the physical world per se, but rather it's in order to get the godly spark out of the physical world and to use it for God, for Hashem's purposes. We do everything, as the Torah says, we're supposed to do everything, l'shem shamayim, for the sake of Hashem. So a Jew is not really meant to be involved in the physical, not supposed to be involved in the physical for the sake of the physical. Rather, our whole involvement in everything physical is for a higher purpose. It's not for the physical, it's for the spiritual. That's the meaning of the pasuk we say every Friday evening. They were hungry and thirsty, their souls were wrapped within. Baal Shem Tov says, they're hungry and they're thirsty. But why are they hungry and thirsty? It's not that their body is hungry and thirsty. It's that the neshama is hungry and thirsty for the godly spark, which is in the physical food and drink that we eat. So by other nations, their involvement in the physical is for the physical, to eat and enjoy the physical. But a Jew's involvement in the physical is called trickery. It's called a lie. It's called cheating. It's called Yaakov. And that's the meaning of Yaakov wearing the clothing of Esav to receive the blessings. The blessings are physical blessings. How does a Jew engage with the physical? He engages with it by dressing himself with foreign clothing, the clothing of Esav. His involvement with the physical is not his interest. In fact, the clothing of Esav really were bequeathed to him, or they were stolen from, more accurately, from Nimrod. Nimrod rebelled against God. He caused the world to rebel against God. So a Jew looks like he's engaging in the physical world in a similar way to a Nimrod. He is acting externally in the same way that a Nimrod would act. And yet the Jew is called Yaakov. He's called Yaakov because that's not what he's interested in. He has a whole different thing in mind. That's the name that we have when we're fighting with the world and trying to, with this friction, we're trying to go against the grain, trying to go against our natural attraction to the physical things, and to use them for a higher and deeper purpose. Then there is another name that we have. What's the other name? The other name we have is Yisrael. Yisrael means to dominate. That means, God says, you have dominated Elokim. Elokim is the name of Hashem, which is numerically equivalent to nature. That means Hashem gives the Jew the ability to go above nature, to go above the concealment of godliness in the physical world, and to be able to not merely fight against the physical world and to do things for the sake of Hashem, even though the world suggests the nature of the world, nature of his body, nature of his animal souls, to do things just for self-indulgence, but he fights with it. But Yisrael means something else. To understand the difference between Yaakov and Yisrael a little better, let's talk about Shabbos and the weekdays. During the week, a Jew is called Yaakov, and on Shabbos, a Jew is called Yisrael. What's the difference between during the week and Shabbos? On Shabbos, the Torah says that we are given an extra neshama. That's why in the Kiddush on Shabbos, we say the words, V'ratza banu. Ratza banu literally means God desires us. Ratza banu also means that our desire to be close to Hashem is now in us. There are different levels of the soul. One of the deeper levels of the soul is called Chaya. And on Shabbos, this deeper desire, that's super rational, that we have all the time, on Shabbos, this desire is banu. This desire is in us. It's part of us. We can engage with life from that deeper part of us on Shabbos. That's inside of us. So on Shabbos, we don't have to fight with the physical world as we do during the week. On the contrary, the Torah says that your eating and your drinking is a mitzvah. Instead of, just like it's a mitzvah to put on film, on Shabbos, ordinarily during the week, you say it's gluttonous, you shouldn't do this, a Jew is not supposed to engage in the physical in that way. But on Shabbos, all of a sudden, it all becomes a mitzvah. Why? Because on Shabbos, we are connected with a part of ourselves which is higher than the concealment of godliness of Shem Elokim. And by Chal Kimi as the Torah says, Hashem concluded making the world on the seventh day, but by Chal Kim also means there's no concealment of godliness in the seventh day. On Shabbos, we are called Yisrael. So every Friday, Hashem tells each of us, your name is no longer Yaakov, now on your name is Yisrael. That's what happens on Friday. And indeed, on Shabbos, what do? We're learning, we're davening, and even our physical involvement in the world is holy. It's a mitzvah to enjoy on Shabbos. Then comes the day after. Then comes Saturday night. And Saturday night, it's not the Chabad custom to say this, but it's a custom of many, and it's definitely there's a spiritual meaning for all of us, whether or not we have this custom. The custom many people have is to sing a song, Al Tira Avdi Yaakov. Do not be afraid, my servant Yaakov. Why are we told not to be afraid? Because since after Shabbos we lose the extra neshama, and we now have to go back into the physical world, and we have to engage the physical world in with this friction. So therefore, Hashem tells us you're not going by yourself. Hashem gives us the power to overcome the concealment of godliness throughout the week, and we get this power from Shabbos. Shabbos blesses the days of the week, and the truth is that the days of the week also bless Shabbos. And this is how it is a symbiotic relationship. So when Friday afternoon comes, Hashem tells the Jew, your name is not Yaakov anymore, your name is Yisrael. But how much Yisrael will you be on Shabbos? You're only going to be as much Yisrael as much as you were a Yaakov. If during the week you weren't really engaging in your mission, you weren't really thinking about what the purpose is of all the physical things you're dealing with, and you're just engaging them for the external benefit of them or whatever, so then the Zohar says, if you're culpable, then you get disturbed. Meaning, when you want to, in the language of the Rabbi, when you want to on Shabbos to look at Yikar Tveres Tulase, you want to look at Yikar the Malki, you want to look at the glory of Hashem on Shabbos, so it's not that accessible to you because you've opened the door too much to negative energy during the week. But it's kind of like on Shabbos, it's like someone's swimming, they come up for air. That's Shabbos, you come up for air. And that air you get on Shabbos, that animates the rest of the week. But how much energy do you get when you come up for air on Shabbos? It depends on what you were doing throughout the week. So it's the symbiotic back and forth. On Friday, Hashem tells us, name is not Yaakov anymore, name is Yisrael. Then on Motzei Shabbos, right after Shabbos is over, Hashem tells us, don't be afraid, Yaakov. You have to go back in the world. And so in order to win Esav throughout the week, Hashem tells us and promises us on Motzei Shabbos, don't be afraid. So that's the reason why Hashem tells Avram, your name is no longer Avram, your name is from now on Avraham. But regarding Yaakov, the Torah says your name from now on is Yisrael, but Hashem still calls us Yaakov, because Hashem doesn't always want us to be Yisrael. Hashem has a time when we're meant to be Yisrael, that's Shabbos, and during the week we're meant to be Yaakov. And there are many levels within Yaakov and within Yisrael. If this past Shabbos was really good Yisrael, then this coming week is a different kind of Yaakov. And if this coming week is a new kind of Yaakov, then so Parshas Vayishlach is one level, and Parshas Vayishlach is another level, and each Shabbos contributes to the Shabbos afterwards. And that's why each Shabbos is significant. Hashem gives us in this world. We have to catch each one because the days of the week feed into Shabbos, and Shabbos feeds into the days of the week to help us get where we need to get to. Okay, that's basically what the point. Any questions or comments?
Questions or comments?
All right.
What about this Malachim?
The meaning of the Malach of Esav in our own lives is the attraction to the physical, our animal soul, and the physicality of the world, and that's the Esav in our lives. That's what we're fighting with.
When Yaakov Vayishlach, Yaakov Melachim,
yeah,
the Rashi says it's deviating from his usual later or simple or direct understanding. Says he sent
literally angels.
So how does that connotes with Yaakov? Because you need to be engaged with the world. I mean, it's stupid. What I'm saying is stupid.
I'm not saying it's stupid. There's a whole talk there about it, but it's a big subject. Maybe we'll learn it this week. All right.